if you want a unique audience and you want an audience that really cares about you and is just the most deeply connected audience you could ever have, you have to have perspective shifting content. What did Tate do really good? He shifted people's perspectives on a mass scale. And that's why it worked so well. People started to emotionally be attached to them.
This is Nick Rogers. He went from college dropout to making over $12 million in sales at 24 years old for his clients. He's had over $2 million in take-home pay. At 20, he launched his first Instagram account and built over 1 million followers in under a year. At 21, he used his network to scale personal brands to 100k followers in 100k months. He's went on to record podcasts with Iman Gadzhi, Luke Belmar, Jordan Welsh, and many other big names. And now he's on kickoff sessions showing you exactly how you can do it for yourself. What's up, people? Before we get into this video, please make sure to subscribe, like, and comment down below so we can get bigger and better guests for you every single week. Let's get straight into the video right now. All right, man, let's kick off.
Sweet, dude. Let's do it.
Somewhere I want to start, right, is how does a young guy like you go from working at a Chevy dealership to making over $2 million a year at like 24 years old?
It's like not 2 million a year, like
2 million.
it's like around there in sales.
Yeah.
But you know, my take home. But oh, dude, that's a good question, man. Where do we start? You know, because I think there's a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah.
I think there's a mindset aspect to it. There's an actually like doing the work aspect to it. There's, you know, where I'm from, where a lot of people are from. Like I said, where I'm from, but like where a lot of people are from, everyone's just kind of doing just whatever. Like, if you really think about it, you know, and you told me you're from Ireland, right? What are most of the people you went to high school with doing? It's
Taking
just
fucking drugs and putting shit up their nose, right? Literally.
Sure, put shit up your nose. I mean, maybe.
And just
no, but
just
like
working average jobs, doing stupid shit.
I'm not talking down on 9-to-5 jobs because I think 9-to-5 jobs are necessary. As Tate says, someone's got to flip the burgers, right? Like this, it's true. but I'm not talking down on 9-to-5 jobs. You know, you were in finance, I was in car sales, whatever. But they're necessary, and I think some people enjoy doing it. Like I don't think it's. I employ people. You know, we have, is it 5? We have 5 Western employees, American, you know, British, whatever. And then a couple it's more than that. We have a couple of VAs, couple Western employees, whatever. But I think the problem is most people don't want to be doing that stuff. A 9-to-5 isn't bad, but most people don't want to be doing that stuff, and they're there and they're stuck in it. And for me, it was just like shifting. It genuinely, like as cliche as it sounds, you have to shift your mindset. Basically, like that's where it starts. And you know, from a young age, I always thought that there was something like I always wanted to start a business. You know, when I was a freshman in high school, I got obsessed with I'm going to go Navy ROTC and I'm going to be a Navy SEAL. Like I always wanted to do something different. Now that maybe that's like some random whatever, but I wanted to do something different. You know, it was like I'm a sophomore in high school. I'm going to have a sports medicine practice, and I'm just always thinking of like, and then it's like real estate. And, you know, it's at where it's at today, but it was always an idea before I even got the job. So I'm in high school, and I always have these big ideas. I'm like 15 years old watching conspiracy theory, Alex Jones on the internet, getting just like super these people are ruining the world. 9-to-5 is evil, like all this stuff. And so I'm getting like, not brainwashed, but like, my mindset is getting programmed in a way of I need to be an independent person, an independent thinker, and this is going to rely on me to do my shit the way like I want to do it. And a job or the school system or any of these other things aren't going to get me there. Now, for some reason, whatever counselor or whatever bullshit thing that they do to teenage kids in America, I was convinced that I had to go to college to start a business. All I wanted to do was start a business. I had to go to college to start a business, apparently. And so I go to college, and 2 months later, I'm out. I drop out, done. And I start selling cars. But that mindset never left. It actually just got more ignited because I'm like, this is really bad shit here. I don't know what other way to describe it other than I hated college. I thought it was terrible. I thought it was bad. I'm a young 18-year-old kid. I don't really know any better. and I'm just like there. I have no life experience. And that mindset of independent thinking and living was always just festering.
Mm.
And I'm at the car sales job and I'm just trying new things on the internet. Oh, do I do real estate? Do I do drop shipping? Do I start social media pages? And then one clicked and then just started and then I just put all my time into it and I've just put all my time into it since then.
You've been lucky to figure this out at a young age, though. That's what's interesting, right? Because you mentioned Tate, right? Tate's a huge influence on me too. And the no one coming to save you perspective, or one, you're not going to get properly wealthy from working in a company or so on. Like, I learned that particularly from Tate later on. And the fact that if you want to take care of people around you and if you want to truly be independent, like truly be independent and not be dependent on other people, Tate taught me that at a later age. Now, again, to your point, I always fucking knew it, but I was still trying to go from 60K a year to 80K a year to 100 to 150 to 200,000, which is seen as like successful.
Dude, I'll be honest. I'll be honest. Sorry. I don't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Dude, 2016. Like I didn't even know who Tate was. Like Tate influenced maybe a little bit of like, okay, cool, this guy's good, but I was already this way before I even knew who Tate was. And 2016, I thought the economy was going to collapse. And I don't know how I didn't find Bitcoin, but I was in high school. I'm like, dude, the economy's going to collapse. We're all going to have to like go live in the woods. Like, and I'm a 17-year-old kid. Like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
But I should have found Bitcoin then. That's my only regret. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there.
No, not at all. But it's being able to look at the world and see it differently and see how you can benefit from it being differently. And benefit isn't like not necessarily putting money in your pocket, but making something that's more valuable to someone, growing Instagram pages, helping other people. That's the viewpoint versus what you mentioned about what are other people that are our age doing. They're just humming through life, right? They go through life with that kind of haze because they're not looking for these opportunities. And I think Richard Cooper says the wisdom comes from the pain, which I fucking love, right? Is the fact that you're in school, you dropped out of school, max pain. Your parents probably asking you what the fuck you're going to be doing. You sign up to a car dealership. That's when you had that igniting. That's when it ignited for you, right? And obviously went on to look at different shit. But I think it's interesting, right? How wisdom comes from the pain, and even as a young dude at 18 years old, you learn much more than many other people do later in their life.
Yep. Dude, there's 3 moments of pain that I can remember very vividly in just like my life. One was college. Hated it. I was probably depressed. You know, I don't know what other way to describe it other than I was probably depressed. Probably had symptoms of depression, but I fixed it. You know, I didn't stick it out for 4 more years. I just left. The second was when I worked that job at the car dealership. Hated it. Hated it. It was awful, but it was necessary. And that was the second moment of pain. So the first moment of pain is breaking out of the system, you know, and realizing I need to go do this. And I knew I just needed to get money to start a business. That's what I knew. I knew the car sales thing wasn't long term. And it was going on and on and on. I'm trying all these businesses and it's just not working. And as soon as it got super painful, the one business that did work hit. And then even more recently in the past year, so I had an agency where my business partner and I, like, we went separate ways. That was a very difficult period. And then recently, like literally a year later, my business partner at our consulting company decided to go separate ways, cordially. But the whole period of the past year has been the biggest learning experience that I've personally had. You know, I'm turning 25 this month, literally 20 days, like less than 20 days. And, you know, they say when you turn 25, your brain fully develops or whatever. My brain, like, it's either my brain's fully developing or I've gone through max pain in the past year because I just feel so much older now. But those 3 moments of pain, to your point, everything good in my life has come from those. Come from the fall and like the rise out of it, because it's like a slingshot almost. It's like when a stock crashes or an economy crashes. The best time to buy is at the bottom. The best time to make all the progress, or when you make all the progress, is at the bottom, right after it's most painful.
And that's when people make the most gain. The best people, right? They'll strive to make the best businesses. When the fucking market's at the bottom, they'll pick the right stocks, they'll invest in Bitcoin, or they'll be able to build something that's substantial, right? When most people fear and run away, right? What's most impressive to me about you as well about this is the fact that you seem like someone who didn't get like attached to like the status, the bullshit. I love your video breakdowns, man. So to give you some context, because I really do love these little videos you have. I send them on to my mentor who's like 60 years old, and I'm like, watch this literal kid like break down and dissect these dumbasses on Twitter, on Instagram, these like money kids, right? And he's laughing at it because it's so applicable. And I think,
was it the whiteboard one?
the whiteboard
recently?
one, whenever you're talking about like money kids and shit like this, right? And I'm all for that, right? I'm like, lifestyle inflation and like the effect of that has, and the way people perceive the lifestyle on Instagram and so on and so forth. So I want to ask you like why you never kind of rose to that, and why you never leaned into being like a status whore. All right, people, we're just going to take one short little break for a little update about Podcast University. So if you enjoy podcasts like this and you want to start your own podcast, head down to the links down below to Podcast University. This is a learning platform that I've built to help people like you build, launch, and scale your own podcast. I wasted many years doing this, making it all up as I go. So I put everything together in a very seamless and easy to follow course for you guys to follow and just learn exactly how to do it. So if you want to bypass a lot of the mess with your podcast, check out the links down below to Podcast University, and I will show you exactly how to launch and scale your own podcast.
I mean, dude, when I first got to Miami, so look, you gotta, let's paint the picture. I'm 22 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I've lived in my hometown up until that point. I'm making $50K a month online. Business is going good. I'm starting to, really like understand things. I'm growing up. Cool. I go to Miami, and it's a whole new world, dude. It's a whole new world. And you go from your hometown that is smaller, upstate New York, to the biggest party city in the world. And you just get thrust into it. And so there's a lot of elements to the glamour and stuff like that. I was definitely in it for the first like couple of months, and then I was like, this isn't serving me. This doesn't serve me. And I think in business, in life, etc., what I have learned, at least for myself, is that there's always a choice between business is the perfect example of this. Between, cool, this thing makes me money, but this completely goes against my moral code. And this makes me a little bit less money, but I believe in it 100%. And this is holistic, and this is me. And I think that choice is seen basically in every part of life. You can choose to have one good girl that is your wife. You have a bunch of kids, you start a family, it's wholesome, it's holistic, whatever, and it serves you as a person. Versus you can have 10, 15 girls, you're super rich, do whatever you want, have a rotation, all that. And I think both are appealing to men in general, especially the way the world's going, different things. We can talk about the cultural significance of all that stuff. But for me, it was seeing both sides of it and then choosing the thing that serves me. And so, I've made stupid purchases or blown money on, nightclubs and been with the wrong girls and all of that. And I think Miami isn't the place for me. And I think a lot of these big cities are full of this stuff. I'm so close to Miami. I like the proximity of it because there is opportunity, but being there in the city and in that lifestyle, it's not for me. And I don't think it's good for anybody. I don't think it's what most people should be doing. However, the biggest thing is I saw it. I saw it firsthand. I experienced it firsthand, and I realized this doesn't serve me. And I made the mature, conscious choice of I'm going to choose the things that serve me in life. I had a Porsche on order in 2022. I bought it at the end of 2021. I had it on order, custom built, brand new from the factory, everything. Turbo S, maxed out. It was $297K. Cool. Like I could afford it, but I went there and they wanted 10 times more down than what I was putting down. And I'm a 23-year-old kid at that point. And that would have been a stupid decision. Not that I didn't have the money. We're making 100K a month. Not that I didn't have the money, but doing that doesn't serve me. Doing that might get me an extra sale or two, but it's not my ideal customer. My ideal customer is someone that's serious, that likes to invest, that has a family, that wants to grow their business, doesn't care if you have a Porsche or not. They care if you can make them more money. And so I wasn't. Yeah, I'm gonna drive fast. I love driving fast. I'll buy some cars here at some point. I have a decent car now, but I was like, this doesn't serve me in this current moment. I don't need to make this stupid decision. I'm going to walk away from it. Or the Miami nightclubs. These don't serve me, and these don't grow what I'm trying to grow and get me to where I'm trying to be. And they take away from your soul to a degree. So I'm going to walk away from it.
It detracts from the goal
And
overall, right? That's exactly
yeah.
it.
So it was learning and seeing it myself, and then asking myself, what are my actual values? And what do I really believe in? And then going towards that, and not using these as tools or using these as things to make money, but just removing myself from it.
You might be familiar with Jack Hopkins. Like his YouTube is called CEO of Testosterone. Recorded a podcast with him the other day in Bangkok, and he made a great point about this, being like, just because you can buy the fucking Lambo or the Porsche doesn't mean you should, because how it detracts is the fact that instead of you being focused on building your business or growing it or scaling it or improving operations, you're thinking of fucking driving the Porsche. And you're driving the Porsche, you're thinking, well, I don't want to go back to the business. So you're actually regressing. And you're ultimately, even though you could look better and sign more clients, you're actually going sideways or nearly like parallel a different way, and then you end up going backwards. And there's obviously exceptions to it. Like, for instance, I know you recorded Iman. He has like a car collection now and so on and so forth. But I'm pretty sure the dude makes 86 million a year. So I think he's going to be okay. Right? So go ahead.
I think of it as a different way, in a little bit of a different way. I think of, I look at cars all the time. And at least for me, like, I don't care about a watch. Like, a watch distracts, like, I don't need it. I'll probably buy one at some point. I don't care, though. I actually had Iman on the podcast. He's like, you should get this one. I asked him. But I just don't care. I'd rather make investments into crypto and stocks and back into the business and stuff like that. But then in terms of the car stuff, I just love driving fast. I love cars. So for me, that's not even just like it's not a distraction, really. It's more a reminder of why I've worked so hard so I can enjoy the things that I want to enjoy. But I also don't want to make a stupid decision at the same time. And that's, like, anyone can get a Lambo. Like, you actually think about it. What's a Lambo payment on a used Lambo? $2K a month? $3K a month? US? You sign one client, you're paying for your Lambo. I mean, anyone can get that stuff. It's not the status symbol that people think it is.
Yeah, of course, man. There's so many different ways I can take this conversation. I want to shift gears into you building out these Instagram pages first here, right? So I saw one of your videos the other day. You flashed up one of your pages, so you've grown multiple accounts above 100,000. One of them, man, had one of the clips from my fucking podcast in it. You flashed it up.
Really?
Yeah, man. It was my podcast with Sadia Khan, and on the homepage you showed was exactly her screenshot from the podcast. So yeah, small world, right?
So I don't manage the content there. That's crazy.
I thought it was just funny though, because I was watching on a flight and I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Anyway, so you've been able to just grow the shit out of these accounts, which is like, it's a trick in itself. There's so much different aspects of, like, content, psychology, writing, so on and so forth, and how you've done it. How did you even get the idea of growing Instagram pages? Like, if you take a step back, like, why did you want to go into Instagram versus even Twitter or something else?
Yeah, I mean, I was doing dropshipping stores. I was trying to do dropshipping stores. This is 2018. I was a young kid, didn't know anything about business. I'm selling cars at the Chevy dealership, starting all these different stores. I think of dropshipping as, and you know what it is, but for the audience, you got to get a product from here. You got to know how to source it. You got to, like, make this perfect ad. You got to learn Photoshop. You got to learn ads. You got to learn the website. You got to do all this. It was too much for someone that's just starting business. I think dropshipping is a very difficult thing to do unless you have someone specifically just, like, walking you through it. because you're learning like 20 different skills at
Yeah,
once.
100%.
Like customer service in itself is one skill, and then there's marketing, and then it's a lot. And so I was paying all these Instagram pages all this money for shout outs to sell my products. And they're making all the money, and I'm like maybe break even. And so I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Why don't I just start some of these pages? And so that's what I did. I just tried a dog page. Nah, it didn't work. Tried a jewelry page. It didn't work. And then I see this like little business niche. And I'm like, I don't see many of these pages. That's interesting to me. I start following the guy. Turns out the guy lived an hour away from me. But there's a small niche of very like technical business pages developing. And I'm like, shoot, man, let me try this. And I started it, bought a couple shout outs, grew the page, 10K followers or 12K followers like first month. And I'm like, we're on to something here. 4 months later, 100K followers on that page. And that was it.
What would you put it down
That's how I
to?
started.
What would you put that growth down to?
It was a new opportunity, and it was good content. You know, it was just content that, and when I say good content, it's just content that catches people's attention and is typically fresh. The people that grow the fastest bring fresh ideas and fresh perspectives to marketplaces. And so I had fresh ideas and fresh perspectives because the niche was so small and it was just growing, and it was just shown to the right people. It's basically it. Like it's not more than that.
You always write about perspective shifting. I think that's fucking sick because it's like catching your attention, giving them something that is unique and something that's different.
I appreciate that you've seen that and
Of
like
course,
know
man.
that.
Yeah, man. I think it's sick. I think it's exactly it's part of like the hook. It's part of the retaining. It's part of getting attention. It's part of getting them to share it and the virality. And so to walk me through that perspective shifting from your perspective, because I've even referenced it. Bear in mind in our company stand up earlier today. I swear to God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So my mindset on perspective shifting is I'm not going to say you have to put out perspective shifting content to grow your brand because you don't. But you have to put out perspective shifting content to grow a loyal audience of people that actually care about you. And so I'll give you an example. I've mastered that for Twitter. My Twitter is my one platform I feel is super solid. I don't feel I've mastered that for Instagram yet because I'm still testing. And anyone watching this current, is going to be like, oh, yeah, your Instagram is kind of dead. Not that it's dead, but it was banned for 4 months. So I get it back. People don't know who I am, whatever. I kind of got to test my message. Mind you, the past month and a half is the first time I've been on my own in business in 4 years. I've always had business partners before this. And then, I was on my own at the beginning. But, 4 years of like kind of sharing a message with someone else. So now it's just like me testing and figuring out my message. And the biggest thing that I know that I want to do is I don't want to blend into the crowd. I scroll through on my phone, or I got a lot of phones over here. Anyway, I scroll through every day and watch reels because I want to study what the market's doing. And all I see is bullshit, garbage, the content with the most life just sucked out of it. And I don't want to be that. Because I look at it and it's just this cool edit and it's not anything new. It's not any new information. It's not anything different. It's already been said before. It's by someone that doesn't even have the credibility. And I know for a fact, and I tell all my clients this, if you want to grow, you just got to post. You got to do it. You got to put your message out there, etc. I think, however, though, and believe and know based on what I've done, if you want to have the unique audience, the audience that really cares about you and is like, yo, this is the guy, like, let's get him on all the podcasts, that type of thing, and like a cult like audience, you have to bring some kind of perspective shifting content to the table, or it doesn't work. You just get put into this bucket of everybody else. So I see these people, and they can have 100K followers all they want. They'll never make the sales I'll make. They'll never have the audience that I'll have, or you or any of these people that use that principle of I'm going to bring a new perspective that actually shifts. And when I say perspective shifting, so that's like the root of it. It was like, if you want a unique audience and you want an audience that really cares with you, it cares about you, and is just the most deeply connected audience you could ever have, you have to have perspective shifting content. What did Tate do really good? He shifted people's perspectives on a mass scale. And that's why it worked so well. People started to emotionally be attached to them. He changed their perspectives in a moment, and they're like, whoa, like, this guy just blew my mind. So if you can do that, if you can change someone's perspective on what they believe inherently and how they think about things and how they do things in their business or just in their life or whatever it is with your content, now you're creating an emotional connection. And now they're attached through brain chemicals to your content, dopamine, serotonin, all of it. And now you can build a real audience of real people. So it's not really about the follower number, it's about the connection there. And the people with the strongest connection make the most money and eventually have the platform and the foundation to go the biggest. A lot of these guys that blow up after 5 years, 6 years, whatever, they were posting forever and ever and ever, and they were building this little cult-like audience. And then they emerged on the surface because they got the right distribution in the right place at the right time, and they exploded. But they were doing it for years and built a cult-like audience by shifting people's perspectives, and now they can't get canceled because all their core fans just love them. Like Nelk is a good example of this. Nelk was just a small audience building a cult-like fan base, and then 2017 they went crazy, and I gained at least like 1 million followers, I think, something along those lines on YouTube, and just came to the surface of like, well, who are these guys? And everyone's thinking, who are these guys? But someone like me or anyone that had watched them is like, those guys are crushing it. Those guys are amazing. They're doing it different than everybody. And that, to me, is the core of perspective shifting content. You might grow slower in the short term, but the long term, you have way more potential than everybody else.
All right, guys, one short little update for Voex. I want to give a short little overview about my own company, my media company called Voex. So if you are a company or you are an enterprise looking to grow your brand and looking to grow your podcast, feel free to reach out to work with us at Voex. What we do is a fully fledged end-to-end management of your podcast. We take care of the strategy, the consulting, we take care of the growth, the management, we take care of all the editing, all the boring stuff so you can focus on creating good podcasts and create and growing your brand. If you want to grow your podcast and get to new users, if you want to grow your business, generate more revenue and all that good stuff, check out the links down below to Voex. You can follow through to schedule a call with our team, or else you can fill out the application form to see if you qualify to work with us. Thank you. And you've a fuck ton of leverage, right? At the end of the day, because you're building that, you're basically building a cult, and you're separating the audience.
Yep.
Now, I'm pretty sure it was you that asked Luke Belmar, how come how come you've come to the surface now? And he said like that example of
exactly that.
I think it was like of a bamboo stick or else like some fucking sprout or some shit. And he was saying that basically it's growing, and after 5-7 years it explodes. And then it goes up to the surface and everyone sees it as like a whatever. And I think that's very interesting because I feel like that everyone leans into the other platitude bullshit or more of the sameness.
Good.
Or they skip,
less competition for
or
us.
they skip the part whereby they actually are building the audience, right? They say that they're an authority, they're flashing the fucking Lambos and whatnot. Now, question for you of this, which people are probably thinking is, do you need to be like controversial and say stupid shit to be able to split the audience, or can you do it without it?
No, you don't need to be controversial. And I think there's another point as well on the marketing side of things, of like the Lambos and Flash. I want to get into that in a second, but in terms of your question on controversy, you don't need to be controversial, but you need to be strong in your convictions. And you know, a lot of people call me stubborn. My dad's like, you're not stubborn. He's like, reframe that. You're not stubborn. You're strong in your convictions. And everyone that grows and everyone that is big, they're strong in their convictions in regards to they are polarizing. If you're strong in your convictions about something, you're polarizing to somebody. Somebody out there that is watching this is polarizing, polarized by you. And I'm not going to say you need to be controversial. I'm not going to say you need to be crazy. I'm going to say that could lead you to more traffic. But the best way to do it is to just be yourself and speak your opinion and speak your mind. And wherever that lands on the spectrum, it lands. You know, you're going to probably make the most money by being yourself and have the most longevity by being yourself, because you can only fake a character for so long. You
100%.
can't fake a character, you know, for forever. And you know, if controversy is just like who you are, then say what you believe, and then that's it. You know, I could talk about all sorts of things right now that'd be very controversial, and maybe we'll get into that stuff. But I'm not gonna like go out of my way to be like, yo, dude, look, we have to talk about this stuff right now. I wanna make waves. I wanna talk about how the elites are caging up little children on Jeffrey Epstein's island, and how it's all this big psyop, blah blah blah, whatever. Look, we could talk about it and we could go deep on that topic, but I'm not going to go out of my way to do it, as I sort of did. But anyway, um, you know you know what I'm saying.
Of
I
course,
think I
man.
think with controversy, people like they try to play it up too much. And it's just like, dude, just be you.
Yeah.
Just talk like you're talking to your friend, and it'll work out for you.
I think you made a great point there about the longevity though, because something like even like podcasting, right? There is no hiding. So if you were to add in this controversy element, people can see that it's forced, and people in the past have been forced like that, and we see it, and it's very obvious that people are
Yep.
trying to get into these conversations. Whereas you've done this for many years, I've been doing this for a couple of years as well, that you can kind of see your values, right? But I think it's standing over those opinions, which is perfectly fine. And maybe people don't like it the other way, but you want to be able to separate the audience, because that's who's going to buy from you. So J.K. Molina is always saying that, you know, only 99% of people will be tire kickers anyway, and most of them are not
Yep.
going to fucking buy your shit, and you don't even want to be growing crazy. But it's interesting, right? Because you've been able to grow channels crazy length. His focus is on less growth, but more depth and selling through that. You've kind of been able to do the two basically as you've been able to grow. So you have a combination of both.
On the personal side of things, I've been able to go more like in depth,
Yeah.
and that's the right way to build a personal brand. The other ones are just traffic channels. Wait, like you gather traffic that's very general and you distribute it.
Mm.
You know, and to me, when you're building a brand, and you know it is a brand, maybe it's faceless. You can build faceless brands, but typically a personal brand, it has to be done the authentic way. And there's a point I want to make, and I mentioned lifestyle before, and the Lambos and whatever and stuff like that, and the just like the authentic to you and who you are. The biggest thing there is that having a Lambo, having a Porsche, having the watch, whatever it is not bad. None of that is bad. It's how it's demonstrated and how it's put in the content. I will be buying a very expensive car probably this coming year because I love cars, and it's just a part of my brand. Now, the difference in how it's perceived is how I show it. If I go and take a picture of the car and being and seriously post flexing on all you brokies, none of you will ever afford this. You guys are whack. Like, what do I look like an idiot? But a lot of people do that. But if I just post the car without even mentioning the car, it's just a picture of me driving it. Bought a new car today, guys. Just sharing my life. It's part of my brand. And then I'm just driving 150 miles an hour. And I don't say anything about what it is. I don't say the price. I'm not like, yo, look at me. This is my crazy car. But that to me is just, I'm living my life. Like, this is just what I'm doing, guys. It's part of the brand. It still gives you the status of lifestyle, but it gives you the status of lifestyle that's authentic to you, which is, I'm just living my life. Here's me. Don't even mention it. That's the best way to get status. Don't even mention it. People point it out for you. And so, like, I'll post my girlfriend. We won't show her face though. But I'll like post my girlfriend. But that's a status to some people, because you know, having a good girl by your side is a status symbol. Just like maybe having 10 girls by your side is a status symbol to other people. But it's when you go and mention it, be like, I'm with all these bitches. It's like, dude, you look like an idiot. But if you just post it that you're with the girls, you just post it, and you're just like, you're on a boat and you just happen to be with them. That's a way better way to show that status. And so it's just about showing like your brand in the most authentic way possible without mentioning it. It's just there.
Man, the perfect example of that is George Heaton. So you might know George from Represent, right? He has like a blacked out like fucking Land Rover or whatever. He's a blacked out house. He's like a black sauna. Like it's all black. It's all sick. It all looks great. And he'll just have a photo with like 4 different photos on Twitter, and it would just be sick, right? And he's a very like humble, down to earth
Yep.
dude. People are very much attracted to him and the brand just because of like how he carries himself. I think that's like a disconnect to a lot of like younger people, like, or anyone has, right? Is I think Justin Waller said to me like, money amplifies you, and many people end up being an asshole and they should shut the fuck up anyway. So,
So
it's
true.
kind of like basically you've given them a stage to be even more of a dickhead. And I've seen that firsthand,
Yep.
man, with people that I've even been friends with. They just have grown and become assholes, right? Which is interesting. Now, I want to discuss how you've been able to connect the business to a lot of these accounts, and even what you've been doing, right? I know you mentioned Brooke, and you worked with Brooke and many other guys, man. To be honest, if I came across your stuff earlier, I think I nearly would have worked with you as well, right, at some stage. Because why I think is super interesting is the fact that, you can have the content, so on and so forth, but without the offer and being able to connect the offer, it becomes a big fucking challenge, right? You have big accounts that are broke. So how do you think about that, especially with Instagram, something that even myself, I'd love to even focus more on?
How do I think about the accounts and connecting the accounts to the business?
To the offer, yeah. So building out an offer around the accounts
Got it.
and the content.
So a lot of the offer wasn't built around the accounts necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
The first real offer that I put together was my agency. And what we did is we used the accounts as social proof to go sign the first client. It's like, yo, growing these accounts, hundreds of thousands of followers, could probably do it for your Instagram as well. Want to chat?
Mm-hmm.
And I would just pitch people on that. And that's how we started building personal brands on Instagram for people back in 2019, 2020. And we just leveraged the accounts as, here's the social proof. And then what we did is we placed those people on the accounts and told people on the accounts to go follow them. It was a shout out. And that was the main leverage point, and has been the main leverage point for the accounts, is growing my personal brand, growing clients, and that's basically it. So to me, it was just, this is a traffic center. This is social proof. It was a way to get my feet wet. Now I just hit up people for my personal brand if I want to work with them, or people come to me in referrals and stuff like that. But that was a leverage point at the start. We've done this. We might be able to get you a similar result. And that's why a lot of people struggle to start agencies and start service businesses, because they haven't done any of this stuff. And so they go, dude, I can get you leads from cold email. All right, show me some results. I don't have any. Well, I'm not going to work with you then.
I don't mean to interrupt you, right? But so my company it's a podcast agency. We manage and grow podcasts, right? When I hop on a call and people ask me for stuff, right? I have a shit ton of clients. We have a fuck ton of clients, but I showed them my podcast. And I'm like, here's my podcast, and here's how I live by the fucking sword. Here's all of our work, here's all of our design, here's all of our branding, here's all the production, here's everything. Here we have a bunch of other ones, but I start with me. And that's the only reason why it fucking works, man.
Yep. And that's why me growing my personal brand now and jumping on podcasts like this and talking to you and doing more YouTube videos and fully taking it just 100% seriously is so important. Because for me to get to the levels that I want to get to, that trust has to be built. And we were talking about it before this call. I think this is a good time to talk about how an offer works and how you should actually build an audience and what it should look like. To me, there's a lot of different ways we can go with the offer, but I'll keep it as simple as possible so it makes sense, because I do understand it at a high level, but I don't want to get too in the weeds. So at a simple, very simple level, to make money on social media, you have to have an audience of people that like know you. You can do cold DM, you can have 500 followers and start DMing people. It's just hard. You get to 10K followers, you can DM anybody and pretty much get a response. So Twitter's a good example. Instagram's a good example. I think those are the two best platforms to start with personally. TikTok's good as well, but if you're selling more high ticket and you want to really connect with people, it's going to be Twitter or Instagram. Now, you have to grow an initial audience. You have to grow 10, 15, 20K followers. And then you want to sell 20 people, 50 people, 100 people, and get proof of concept. I would even say 10 to 20 at minimum. Get proof of concept. So you come up with a hypothesis, you soft launch it. You soft launch to people. You say, yo, DM, whatever. Hey, dude, saw you got my thing. we might get something out of us jumping on a call together. I got this thing that I'm working on. I think I thought of you. We had this conversation. I think it might be good. Um, it might help you out. Blah blah blah. Whatever. We should chat. You'd be interested, and you sell 10 to 20 people that way. That's your soft launch. You develop a hypothesis. You put the product together. You soft launch it like that. Once you get 10 to 20 people, now you're like, cool. This works. This doesn't. I'm gonna change all these things. This is what the offer is now. Or cool, confirmed. It works. It's amazing. It's perfect. Now you go hard launch it to that same audience at 10, 15, 20K followers. Your goal is to get to 50 to 100 people. Once you're there, you start to have a working system. You get a sales guy in place. You have fulfillment in place. Maybe you have like a VA for admin. Now you ask yourself, cool, how do I max out this current platform? And how do I start another one? And now you can scale. And so to me, the offer starts all within, I have this expertise. I'm going to go share it. I'm going to see what people are saying, what people are telling me. I'm going to see, what they're interested in. And I'm going to make a hypothesis, and I'm going to test an offer to this audience based on roughly, what I've been doing so far. And I'm going to see what happens. And you're going to just try to sell people, and then you go and scale. So for me, when it comes to authority building and, you having your own podcast, for example, you've already done that. Amazing. I've built tons of personal brands at my agency, at our consulting stuff, and I've built a bunch of these faceless pages. But my personal brand is relatively small right now. 30K followers 31K on Twitter, 24 or 25 on IG. It's relatively small. That's not a big personal brand. I've built many personal brands way bigger than that. And now it's time for that, because I've reached that point in the cycle where, okay, we're maxed out. We've got hundreds of people that have signed up. If we want to go bigger, we need more of a social proof piece. And you are always your own best social proof. So to your point, yeah, you show them your podcast. I show them my own personal brand. This is what we do. This is how we do it.
Man, that's fucking sick.
It's easy to sell at that point.
When you were going from your agency into your coaching, when did you make that transition? Because I know you're always talking about focus, right? And keeping that narrow focus. And I'm fucking anal with that shit, man. Like, so fucking anal. And I always shit on people that do 17 different side hustles. But for you proving that hypothesis and getting them in, like, where did you think about moving it on, right? Because I always feel like that if I split my focus, I end up no focus, then I go back to zero.
So I still have the agency, and we also have the consulting now. And then we've implemented a downsell too. Because a lot of people, can't purchase it. So it's like, cool, you downsell. But, and the important thing to notice is they are not separate businesses. They are one product stack of the same business. So the person that buys the downsell course is, if they implement it and they get their money up, cool. They're the perfect fit for the consulting. And the person that goes through the consulting and graduates is ideally the perfect fit for the agency. So when I started setting it up, I'm like, how do we leverage this? I could have started an agency course. I could have started a theme page course, faceless pages, whatever. And we do teach people faceless pages and whatnot inside the consulting. But besides the point, I could have started anything, really. I could have started investing coaching, right? I didn't want to do any. I wanted something that fit within the product stack. So it's like the people that graduate become the perfect client. And now it's just another conversation, and it's an LTV conversation for the company. It's not a conversation of just, just help them and then they're gone. And that was important to me. And so to me, that is the building of one singular system. And I've tried all the other things, and, building this different brand and this. You just got to build it within one system. And to me, that's one product stack. The deliverable is basically the same. It's just a different level of deliverable. It's, basically that.
Different entry points, right? And we're the exact same. We have very not low ticket, but low enough ticket consulting model, whereby it's just done with you and then it's done for you, right? Which is at the graduation stage. I want to ask you about your influences. So you've recorded fucking insane podcasts, and the way you structure things and your mindset around this is really, really clear, right? But like, were you going through courses? Were you going through different programs, even now to this point, like creating that product stack? Like, where did you zoom back out and kind of think of this and implement it?
Implement the product stack itself,
Yeah, like, were you
and where did
work?
I learn it?
Have you been working through with different coaches, mentors, influences, so on and so forth?
I'll be honest. I purchased one course. Like I've purchased like little things. Like I'll purchase a course to get the like. There's one for ClickFunnels. I
Yeah.
purchased it just to get this software code, so I can put it in the ClickFunnels so we can verify phone numbers. I'll purchase things like that, and I'll purchase services. But I don't really and never have purchased coaching or consulting or anything. Um, or I'll purchase. I just purchased a group, a mastermind to this crypto group because I know we're gonna have a bull run, and I'm like, let me just put myself around the people that are making the calls, so I don't have to worry about it.
Mhm.
But I haven't really purchased things for I'm gonna learn this big thing. I think I did that once when I first started, and I've never had. I'm buying into this thing for a mentorship, or I'm buying into this thing for coaching or whatnot. I think that masterminds are a net neutral. You know,
Mhm.
I've been invited to a lot of masterminds. I've gone to a couple, but it's not really my thing.
Yeah.
Not really my thing at all. And in general, I just think most people need to just like try more things
Do
and
the
purchase
work, right?
yeah, and just purchase courses and coaching for an as needed thing.
Yeah.
You know, we sell consulting and we sell services, and we do it in a way that, in my opinion, is actually beneficial and actually helpful. Like we actually speed people up. And I think for most people that's good.
Mhm.
And if they're buying for a specific use case, because I buy things for specific use cases. But if you're just, I'm looking for a mentor, man.
Yeah.
You know, if you're doing stuff like that, I just don't think you're gonna make it regardless. Because
100%.
I think you're just coming at it from the wrong angle. It's like I'm trying to build a business. What tools do I need? I need that tool. He's got it. I'm gonna purchase that.
Mhm.
It's not, man. I need a mentor. I got to figure out my life. You know, that's that's a dead end street.
The challenge with this, right, is the fact that people are putting their faith into other people to come and save them. And they're also expecting to use the same tools as someone else and be like, oh, I'm just going to do that as a result, right? That's the biggest challenge here is that all these fucking SMA courses, you end up just being the same as everyone else, just kind of slightly fucking behind because you're not implementing it. So I didn't take
Yep.
any courses. I've had like one or two instances across the time, but I think the biggest help for me is just doing the work because you're going to learn a lot much more
Yep.
about your fucking mindset, man. You're going to have to get that fixed as well as your health, your business,
Yep.
the back end operations, paying your taxes. You're not going to learn this sitting from the sidelines. It's going to be actually in the actual arena.
Dude, I see it all the time because people will pay us for consulting, and then they won't show up. It's like, dude, you paid us multiple four figures, and you're just gone. Like, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we got no answer. And I genuinely think it's a lot of like I'm shifting my responsibility to somebody else
Yeah.
because a lot of people don't want to take responsibility for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help you if you don't take responsibility for yourself. So you can come here. I'm going to give you all the information. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. Here's the system. Here's your custom blueprint.
Mm.
But if you don't implement it, I'm certainly not gonna. I can't be you. I can't go on camera and be you.
Mm-hmm.
So good luck.
And man, there's so many different nuances, right? When you get down to it, even like for us, right, in the podcast space, there's so much things that need to happen that you need to do that if you don't do all of them, like, basically you're going to be fucked to some degree. You're going to need to follow the steps and you're going to need
Yeah.
to actually do it. But people just are going to put their faith in other people, drop 10K, drop 20K, and expect the world to happen. Now, let's get into some of the aspects of actually how you're building the content. So, are you someone who's less focused on the tools like running fucking reels, running carousels, but more focused on the principles? And how do you implement this to kind of help people grow? And what have kind of been some of the success models?
To me, the first thing, and this is the process that we put people through. We call it clarity. You have to know what you're trying to do and why you're trying to do it.
Mm-hmm.
What is the goal? Who you're trying to reach? And what is the message that you're trying to get across? And then you can develop your strategy of how to get that across. Some person that's trying to target grandmothers on the internet should not be on Instagram or TikTok. They should be on Facebook.
Mm.
Just like and a lot of people. Well, I was on LinkedIn, dude. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You know? So a lot of it is coming back to, let me get clear on what the goal is. And the goal is about who you're talking to, what your principles are, what you're going to be selling, what your process is for actually getting results, and just who you are as a person. It's like, okay, this is clear, amazing. What's going to be the best way to distribute this message? That's the next question. And then you plug it in. It's like, dude, there's a community for that on Twitter. You going and doing X amount of tweets and doing X amount of replies and doing this strategy, and here's a bunch of content topics for you to start with. That's going to be your best bet. Go do it right now today. Start. Go. Because the community's there, and you'll probably make money pretty immediately if you go there. But if the community's on LinkedIn, it doesn't make sense to go to Twitter. So I think a lot of people talk in concepts of, well, TikTok growth, man, you got to be on TikTok. Dude, if my customer's on TikTok, I'm not going to TikTok. It doesn't make sense to me. And TikTok isn't that high leverage for me right now. I'll do it at some point, personally. But I just think it's to be honest, a lot of the problems that people have, in my opinion, and I'm a 24-year-old kid giving life advice, whatever. I'm not trying to get I'm just trying to. I'm telling you what I think and what I see. A lot of the problems people have are always coming down to simple solutions. Well, my audience, yeah, where are my customers? Oh, they're on LinkedIn, dude. Then why are you on Instagram? I don't know. A lot of it's just misalignment and people just not even thinking. Or, oh, dude, the days are just flying by. Like I can't get any work done. I only put up 2 pieces of content this week. Blah blah blah. Whatever, dude. Let me check your screen time. 17 hours a day. What is it? Oh, YouTube. You're watching 4 hours of YouTube videos a day. Like, dude, you're just not focused. Like, to be honest, a lot of it is just people not being honest with themselves. And you kind of, I think that brings me back to the initial part of our discussion we had at the beginning of this, where you go, dude, how'd you go from being in car sales to where you're at now, making millions of dollars, whatever. And I talked about how I started from a young age, and then thinking independently, and then I'm in college and stuff like that. And a lot of that is just me being brutally honest with myself every step of the way, even from a young age, even when I didn't know any better. I'm a 15-year-old kid. I don't know any better. Maybe I have a high IQ or something. I don't know. But for some reason, I had the wherewithal and the thinking power to just be brutally honest and aware with myself to make the decision based on the right circumstances. People only make bad decisions because they aren't honest with themselves, genuinely, most of the time.
Kicking the fucking can, man, right down the road, and not realizing where the opportunity is. And that's a big thing that when I look at your growth, as in it's obviously been intentional, and the fact that when you did the podcast, it grew a shit ton. When you've been growing your Twitter, when you've been growing Instagram, because you know where to rock up, right? And we just talked about this beforehand as well. I've had my success selling on LinkedIn because that's where my ideal customer is. It's a CEO of a company from 5 to 9 million a year. They have 11 to 50 employees. That's exactly who my audience is. So that's why it makes more sense to have it there. And our podcast on Instagram, and we're helping younger people, and so on and so forth. But I think it's kind of interesting because like most people will quit and say it's the wrong business model, it's the wrong business, when actually you just got the fucking platform wrong, right?
In general, not even just the platform. You just got the offer wrong. You're saying it the wrong way. You're talking to the wrong people. It's typically just I'll say this, every business model works. Every tactic
100%.
works. Every strategy works, but it doesn't always work for everybody. That's okay. Doesn't always work for everybody. Not everyone executes it the same way. Not everyone has the same awareness on things. Dropshipping didn't work for me, but growing Instagram pages did. And then that's led to what I'm doing today. And that worked for me. That strategy and that tactic worked for me probably because I was a young entrepreneur, didn't know anything, and me just doing one thing, posting a bunch of content and getting that content seen was what I needed to do to be successful. Just focus on one. I was probably all over the place.
100%.
Dropshipping works though. It's not like dropshipping is a scam. Dropshipping is a real business model.
100%.
It works. It didn't work for me at that time.
Man, I was fucking dropshipping at like 19, 20, and we were doing a good couple of sales, and then I just didn't know how to manage cash, and I ran out of money. It was basically it. Just had to crash down to the floor, right? And it worked. I remember, and that was like the first dopamine hit, seeing a Shopify notification come in, and that's when I fucking realized the opportunity online. It took me many years later to get an actual working business. So I just think that like you can detach yourself from the business model, which you've talked about as well before. It's less about the business model and more about solving problems, right?
It's not even that, dude. It is a general it is a general mindset, I think, in this country, in this world today, that people aren't willing to take responsibility
Mm-hmm.
for what they're supposed to be taking responsibility for. They're always looking to shift blame.
Mm-hmm.
And it's why people don't have the money they want to have. It's why people don't have the relationships they want to have. It's why people don't have what they want to have in life. In my opinion, they shift blame. It happens in business. Business has taught me so much about life because I see that all the time. People, oh, that doesn't work. No, it didn't work for you, and you're shifting blame to the business model. Okay, that's the conversation you have with people, and it's like, dude, just kind of like stick your nuts on the line and admit it for a second that you fucked up and it's your fault, and take a little bit of ownership. Every moment that I am awake, I have to take ownership now. You have a team of 12 people, you have to hit payroll, you have a lot of expenses and a lot of overhead. You know this, right? Running your company, and it sounds like you had a team meeting. I don't know the size of it, but dude, you have to take ownership. And entrepreneurship teaches you so much about life, spirituality, everything of like, this is the stuff that matters. So when someone blames the business model, they're just full of it. Or someone
100%.
blames their mom or their dad, they're just full of it.
You might know a guy called Balaji. He was a CTO of Coinbase. He's a big crypto dude. Definitely someone to check out, man. He's really big on Twitter. I don't follow him personally, but you know Naval Ravikant, the guy who
Yeah.
wrote his book, wrote a second book recently on a guy called Balaji, and one of his fucking great quotes in the book is, "Everyone's boss is the CEO, and the CEO's boss is the market," and I fucking love that because no matter what you think, right? The market's going to determine this, and most people won't take responsibility for that. They'll
And the
be
market will humble you way more than any boss ever will.
100%, right? And I always just think back to that, man. And this guy, he sold earn.com. It was a charity crypto platform for, was it 300 million he sold it for? He sold like a stem cell company for another 500 million. And yeah, man, I just think that's very interesting to see full perspective how it comes back around. Now, I want to shift gears into our last section into some of your.
Sorry, I'm shifting back and forth because the sun is
You're right, dude. You can move it
hit me. Is
around.
that gonna bother you? You
No,
cool
no,
with
it's
that?
good. Just as long as
You
you
cool with
feel,
the line?
yeah, you feel comfortable
I'm
outside of the
fine.
fucking
I
house,
just
right?
don't want it to look like shit for you.
No, it's all good, dude. I want to ask you about even your perspective shifting. So you mentioned responsibility, taking ownership. What have you kind of observed yourself changing over time from building these businesses, observing other people, and working with people? Like where do you kind of sit in your perspective on this now, in terms of how you're approaching business in life?
How I approach business, like personally,
Mm-hmm.
I'm becoming more of myself. And so you say money exposes you or amplifies who you are. That's it. The principles that I've had from a young age, probably my parents instilled in me, what I saw in terms of content and what I consumed in terms of media, and all that from a young age, I just become more of that. That's it. I go back to all the answers are within, and the perspective shifting, and just who I am, and how I've changed is I haven't really changed. I've
Mm.
just become more of myself. And so there's been moments where I wasn't myself. Going out to nightclubs in Miami, it's not me. That never was me. Never was a big drinker.
Mm.
Never will be a big drinker. But I was for a brief moment. And so having those experiences just pushes you back towards who you're supposed to be, basically, and who I've always been. Um, at least personally, that's what's happened. I think it's probably different for other people, but that's a perspective shift. There,
That's cool,
there
man.
isn't anything crazy new. It's just me.
That's cool, man. I think it's interesting to observe, like, from my own experience, when you're like making 5K a month, you think you know everything, right? And then you make 10K a month, you think you know even more. And then when you make 20K, you realize you're kind of retarded. And then you get to like 50, you're like, oh my God, I know nothing. That's the way I think about this, genuinely. And
I'm a we do like 100 to 150 every month. The goal is to get to a million. I've mentally been at a million a month for almost a year, right? And we're not there yet. Just things happen, the business partnerships, the offer change, whatever. But I know we're gonna get there. And right now, however, at 100 to 150 a month, I feel like I know the least amount that I've ever known. But obviously I don't.
Yeah.
Obviously, I probably know. I probably basically know everything. And if I really like take an honest think about it, yeah, I do pretty much know everything that's needed to get to a million. What do I need to shift right now to get from the current 100 to 150 to a million? Dude, we just got to do the work. Like basically, we already have the roadmap.
Yeah.
We're gonna learn some new things along the way, but we just got to do the work. I've grown so many clients to 500K plus a month. 290 was one, a lot to 100, couple to 500, couple did some like NFT launches, did like 800 to a mil in a month, whatever stuff like that. Dude, it's the same. It's the same thing I'm doing now, but it is just doing more of the work. And to your point, 5 to 10 to 20 to 50. Well, I think that first 5, you're like, I see it on Twitter all the time because there's all these like money Twitter guys, and and they get a remote sales job, and they're like, dude, I just made 11 grand this month. I'm like, dude. And you're like, I know everything. My first month selling. I'm like, dude, you probably just got like a good amount of deals on your plate and lucked out. Like, good stuff. Like, I'm happy for you. That is great.
Yeah.
I like seeing people make online money. I like seeing people be successful. But dude, don't think you're Shaquille O'Neal over here.
Don't think you're better in the game.
Let's tone it down a second. And those are the same types that are like, yo, dude, I got 20K in my bank account. I'm gonna buy a Rolex today. And then they're flexing it. I just got my first Rolex. I'm like, dude, how much crypto do you own? How many stocks do you own? How many assets do you own? What's your passive income at? Like how much money do your assets produce you? What are you talking about, man? You can make money from stocks like that? Like that's just the realm of existence a lot of people are in. And they'll either learn or they'll probably go back to something outside of this opportunity, because this internet stuff isn't going to last the way it's like lasting. It's I think that there's a lot of people, even me, like there's a lot of people that are my size on the internet that haven't really thought about what they're doing. They're just kind of like there, and as soon as the opportunity's gone, their income is gone. And if they can't weather that for a few months, because they've gained a lot of skills, they probably can restart it in some way. If they can't weather that for a few months, they're out of the game. They're back to a 9 to 5. They are. And it's just interesting, You get to 5, you get to 10, you get to 20, you think you're bigger than you are. Dude, at 20 to 50, I thought I'm 22 years old, making 50K a month. I moved to Miami. I'm probably the most successful kid from my high school. Come on, man. Like I'm amped up. And then you get humbled really fast in a big city and doing real business with real people and running into real problems.
Man, I fucking love that, because it's just maturity, right? And you're big into the gym as well, right? I've been bodybuilding for like over a decade. You learn that first you get into the gym to look good and get girls, and then you realize that no girls give a fuck, and it's only dudes that look at your lats anyway. And then there's a different element of what you're chasing, and the goal perspective change. Now you still want to be shredded and massive on the beach, but the goal is just different. And it's the same in business. As this evolves over time, you're setting yourself up in different ways. And that's one reason why I'm fucking really big behind your content, because you're discussing about like what you're doing next, right? How you're diversifying, how you're looking at the future next. And there's nobody that's at your size that's talking about that. They're usually trying to channel them into a different program, right? Get you into some fucking coaching program. But you're talking about, okay, longevity, generational. What made you shift towards that and thinking more longer term with what you're doing right now?
I think it's how I've always thought. I pull us back to me in 2016. Dude, I was legitimately thinking the economy is going to collapse. This is probably when I discovered that the Federal Reserve prints the money and the government doesn't print the money and all that, and central banking and just all that shit. And I'm oh my goodness, these guys run the world, and I'm 17 years old, and that's when I first like really started lifting too, and I'm starting to become like
fuck the Fed.
Yeah,
getting shredded.
basically, and to me, it kind of comes back to that. I was thinking long term. I'm like, dude, gotta take care of the family. What are we gonna do if the economy collapses? What happens? It's not gonna be. And I was just, it's just like fear mongering, whatever. And nothing has happened since then. The economy's gone straight up, and I should have bought Bitcoin then. I don't know how I didn't know about Bitcoin in 2015, 2016, watching all the stuff I was watching. Dude, oh my God, I kicked myself over that. Anyway, but I think it stems from there and those practices, and also just how I was brought up. My dad has been very financially sound since I was a young kid, and he taught me that as a young kid. This is what you do with your money. You respect your money. You keep your money. Not that you save it. I think my mom and dad are more on the saving side of things. I'm all for more risk, especially at a young age. But I think the thing is to respect that, because to me, money, and I'm using money as a long-term example, but money is power and money is energy, and money can be used, and a lot of people are just wasting their energy. And it's kind of like a lot of people watch porn and they jerk off and all that, and they every day, maybe multiple times a day, they're wasting their energy. They're destroying, you call it your seed or whatever you want to call it. That holding that in is powerful. If anyone hasn't done semen retention or gone for a significant amount of time without, you will notice a difference. Like go come 5 times with a girl without whatever, and then go deadlift for a month. Don't jerk off for a month. Go deadlift, okay? Then go come 5 times with your girlfriend and go deadlift the next day. You're way weaker, guaranteed. You can't
100%.
you can't argue with that. Anyway, so a lot of people throw away their energy, whether it's physical. They eat bullshit food, right? So they can't build up good energy.
Mm-hmm.
They throw away their energy, which is money. They throw away their energy to poisonous people in their lives. They just throw away their energy. And I think I've learned from a young age of like, we respect the energy that we've gathered. In that case, it was money. And for me, like figuring out that you should not come all the time, whatever. And then the science there, and you can look into Montauk Chia and all that. We can go way deeper into that rabbit hole. But it's like, use your energy and transmute it into the things that matter.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it's spiritual, dude. You asked like the long-term thing, and a lot of it's spiritual. Like, what matters to me? Family, my family, having a family, and reaching the success that I want to reach. And a lot of that is harnessing that energy, harnessing money, harnessing energy from the universe or God and whatever you believe in, and all of that, and then transmuting it into the things that matter to you. And to me, it's just like understanding how things actually work. The world's a crazy place. If you read any of like Joe Dispenza's books and stuff like that, that's another deep dive. But I think on a spiritual level, it's that, and then on a other side of like longevity, it's just, I know for a fact that me doing the things that I'm supposed to do will get me to where I want to be long term. I've always been able to see the bigger picture. I don't know if it's inherent. I don't know if it was taught. I don't know where it comes from, but the gym is a good example of that. 6 years in the gym, and you're like, yeah, like that's how I always wanted it to look.
Yeah.
I could see that bigger picture, and I've just done it. I've gone to the gym consistently every single week, at least 3 to 4 times a week since I was 17, and worked out. That teaches so much discipline for business, for life, for relationships, everything. And so it's a matter of actually practicing it and realizing, oh, for me to get there, and learning for me to get there, I have to put in the work day after day, year after year. And also learning on a spiritual level of, if I want to get to where I have to go, I need to harness my energy and then transmute my energy and use that for bigger things, and not get caught up in these fleeting moments, these fleeting Miami moments, these fleeting club moments, these girls, these sluts that you could be with all the time, stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
A lot of people just waste their energy.
And it's understanding why you're doing it, right? So not only just like building it, going to the gym, being consistent. You can be
Yeah.
consistently shit, right? Or consistently working on the wrong things. But understanding why you're doing it is going to be hugely
Yeah.
influential. Before we finish up,
Massive.
I want to actually ask you about like how you're actually diversifying. So you're obviously making fucking bank. Are you buying places in Florida? Are you considering that? Like, what's your thought process and how you're going to like, let's say if it's like 100K, like how do you split that up and what are you thinking for the future?
Haven't bought any real estate yet. I want to. The market just doesn't feel like the right time for me. I know that the first physical property I buy will probably be an apartment building, and it'll probably be something that I can do value add. I might do real estate private equity to do that. Someone I know decently well does real estate private equity,
Cool.
and we've talked a lot about it. But where I would be the GP, but regardless, I would buy an apartment building would be the first thing. For me right now, I'm doing three things. I'm sitting in cash. I'm buying stocks that I believe in, dividend stocks and most people shouldn't buy dividend stocks because they're not going to grow your money, but they do pay you a passive dividend return. And a lot of people don't know that you can put a couple $1,000,000 in there and you can make your doctor's salary every single year, passive, not doing anything, right? Because you buy dividend stocks. I'm sure you know that, but most people don't. So I'm doing that, holding cash, and I'm buying crypto. I'm buying crypto specifically right now and for the next 6 months. From whenever this is released, we're November 7th right now. I'm looking at the date. For the next 6 months probably is the last buying opportunity for this cycle, I estimate. And we're going to go up big, dude. We're going to go up big. And the idea is to take the internet money as much as I can for the next 6 months, put it into crypto. Crypto multiplies. I take it out at a safe return. I'm not going to try to hold to the top. I'm not going to try to hold for I'm just trying to. Where else do you get even a 4x, a 5x? I think we'll probably 10x on a lot of these, like Solana or whatever. But where else do you get a 4 or 5x? You don't. You maybe get in the stock market here and there over multiple years, but over a year or two, it doesn't really happen anywhere else. And so I look at that as I'm willing to risk hundreds of thousands of dollars in the market that I made working and doing the internet stuff because it's worth it. It's worth it. And then I'm going to rotate that back into stocks, back into the business for more growth, and probably into real estate.
Fuck, man, that is so sick. And you're at a right time now. And it's quite similar to myself pumping into crypto because even Bitcoin, you might not even look at like a 4 or 5x return, right? It's going to be like a smaller coins. So I think that's like interesting now to think like what's your time horizon on that? Like how are you looking at maybe like 2 years, 3 years?
For the crypto?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 2025 we probably top out. But the halving's coming up in 2024. Are you familiar with the halving? Yeah. So anyone that's not familiar with the halving, the people mine crypto, people mine Bitcoin specifically in this case, and every 4 years or however many blocks of they mine it is, the reward goes down. It gets cut in half. So it's getting cut in half. It typically spikes the price. The price is probably going to grow. You got the ETF, stuff like that. The space is just growing. The space is becoming legitimized. And I think we probably hit like a 10 trillion market cap overall. We're at 1.3 right now. And so it probably 10x's the crypto market cap and crypto market as a whole because all these big players are coming into the space and legitimate money is coming into the space. And maybe there's another massive run. I just know where the economy's at, just everything's going on and stuff like this. This could be our last crypto run. I'm not sure. I knew about it in 2018. I knew about all of it in 2018, 2017 even. I wasn't able to catch it then in 2017, and I sort of caught it in 2021. But I've seen people get super rich from it, and I've seen people legitimately like change the amount of money they have, like for real, for like new wealth brackets. And I knew about the opportunity and I missed out on it in 2021 because I just got lazy. I was in Miami, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Shit happens, whatever. And I missed my cash out period, but I won't do that this time. And that's why I'm so serious about it because I've I've touched the opportunity in 2017. I touched it in 2021, a little bit more. I'm not just gonna touch it this time. I'm gonna take advantage of it. And it's a once in a lifetime type of thing. This crypto
100%.
market is a once in a lifetime type of thing. And I'm not here to shill crypto. I'm not here to, talk it up super big. If you aren't making money, you shouldn't be buying into it. $1,000 in the crypto, not gonna do much for you, bro. Maybe on one of these like 100x coins, maybe you throw in the Pepe or something. Like, good luck. Maybe you have 100x.
Yeah.
But what's turning 1K into 5K? Just go start a business.
Just
Like,
go
like
start a
go
client,
leverage
right?
that money. Like, yeah, go leverage that money like in a way better way. And so I'm willing to take that risk. I'm willing to take that risk. It'll probably top out in 2025.
Man, the wisdom comes from the pain, right? So it all goes back to, man. Man, I want to say a massive thank you. I wish we fucking record this in person. We'll do the next one 100% in person, no matter where you are in the States.
Absolutely, bro.
We'll get it done. But I want to say a massive thank you, man. And yeah, we're gonna get this out next few weeks, so I want to say a big thank you.
Appreciate it, dude. Great having me on. I appreciate coming on. Great conversation. Podcast is great, and we'll do this again in person for sure.